1. Trading in gold bonds to improve liquidity. GS Paper 2, Government Policies and Schemes. Why is it in news recently? On the 13th of May, the Finance Ministry held a meeting to review the progress of two gold-based schemes, Gold Monetization Scheme and Sovereign Gold Bonds. The aim of their meeting was to make the two gold schemes more popular. Of the two schemes, gold bonds are tradable. The fourth tranche of these bonds will soon be open for investments, and trading will start by the end of May. Why the gold bonds were introduced. The central government launched the gold bonds to provide an alternative investment route for gold so that demand for the precious metal in its physical form reduces. How is the scheme performing? The first tranche of the sovereign gold bonds was launched 20th of November 2015, the second tranche during 22nd of January 2016 and the third tranche during 14 March. According to the release, the first three tranches were able to attract deposits worth $1,322 crore, while the total subscription denominated in units of gold was 4,916 kilograms. How do the bonds work? These bonds can be bought from banks and post offices after completing the required Know Your Customer (KYC) documentation, which means giving identity and address proofs such as voter ID card, permanent account number or passport. You can also buy these bonds jointly and in a minor's name. The bonds are denominated in multiples of grams of gold, with a basic unit being 1 gram. The minimum investment has to be worth 2 grams of gold. The maximum you can invest in a financial year is a value worth 500 grams. Tenure is of 8 years and an exit option at the end of 5th year. Interest is 2.75% a year, which will be paid out half-yearly. The gold bonds will be listed soon on exchanges, which means you can exit in the secondary market before the bonds mature. The price of these bonds will be fixed on the basis of the week's simple average of closing price of gold of 999 purity published by the India Bullion and Jewellers Association Limited. Redemption will be done on the basis of prevailing price. Interest will be paid on the original value of investment. What is being done to reduce the demand for gold in physical form? The Finance Act, 2016, provides tax benefit on capital appreciation of gold bonds. The Act provides twofold relief to holders of sovereign gold bonds issued by RBI under the Sovereign Gold Bond Scheme 2015. First, there is capital gain tax exemption on redemption, maturity, of bonds. Second, in case it is sold before date of redemption, indexation benefits shall be available to long-term capital gains arising from transfer. But the half-yearly interest will be taxed. Is it good to invest in gold bonds? For those who buy physical gold on a regular basis for investment, switching to gold bonds is better. Physical gold and gold bonds both carry the risk of price fluctuation, but in case of the latter, you receive additional interest, an extra earning that physical gold does not offer. Further, storing physical gold is difficult, while paper gold can be held in the demat form. Plus, there is high transaction charge on physical gold. Gold bonds have the advantage of capital gains being tax exempt. This is not available on physical gold or gold ETFs. So, if you are planning to invest in gold, the upcoming tranche could be an opportunity. Once trading starts, Liquidity will also improve. 2. India needs to spend 3.77% of GDP to tackle poverty. GS Paper 1, Issues related to social sector, poverty. What is the issue is about? India needs to spend $61.11 billion a year, or 3.77% of its gross domestic product, to tackle the alarming levels of extreme poverty and rural distress. India ranks high among countries with extreme poverty and has to raise, by over 200%, its current levels of spending for people to cross into moderate poverty. Over 230 million people live below what is called the extreme poverty level, with a daily income of less than $1.90. 680 million survive below the moderate poverty level of $3.10 a day, in terms of purchasing power parity. How can India push people in extreme poverty to moderate levels? India should beef up the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, MGNREGS, to provide guaranteed jobs for the rural poor. To push people in extreme poverty to moderate levels, India will have to scale up its expenditure on various job generation programs to the tune of $61.11 billion a year. Sustained income transfers coupled with social protection schemes, including formalizing informal labor, are the prerequisites for coming to grips with worsening extreme and even moderate poverty. What are the prime reasons for high levels of poverty? Vulnerable employment in developing countries, where people have jobs but remain unpaid because of lack of social protection, is raising new social tensions, including extremism. The high levels of poverty coupled with income inequality reduce the impact of economic growth on poverty reduction. The current rural distress, according to the official, is largely due to the substantial reduction of expenditure on MGNREGS which, in turn, reduced the levels of employment. The focus on urban development and urban amenities have worsened living conditions in rural India. The way forward. These are worrying situations and they have to be properly addressed through policies gearing towards social protection for employment generation in the rural sector. The Narendra Modi government must also focus on formalizing employment for the 90% engaged in the informal sector by simplifying procedures, enhancing credit, and other schemes. Crowding people into the formal economy is a very complex process, but it can be done.